The bag was already packed. It sat by the front door, slightly slouched to one side, zipper teeth not fully closed, like it had been hurried. The faint smell of strawberry shampoo drifted from it, Sarah's shampoo, the one she insisted on buying even though her mom said it was too expensive for just sleepover hair. The house itself felt normal. Comfortably normal. The kind of normal that makes you stop looking for danger. The dishwasher hummed in the kitchen. The hallway light flickered the way it always did. And outside, the car engine idled softly in the driveway. Sarah called out a quick, distracted, "Love you." Already halfway out the door. Already somewhere else in her mind. 16-year-olds are like that. Half in the house. Half gone. Her dad was 10 feet away in the living room. 10 feet. He would later repeat that number like it might eventually change. The front door opened. Closed. The engine outside went quiet. And, just like that, the house settled back into its comfortable, ordinary silence. At 9:12 p.m., Sarah sent the text. "I'm here, smiley face." Her mom saw it while folding laundry. She smiled, not even fully reading it, just enough to register safe, arrived, normal. She placed the phone face down on the counter and kept folding. That was the moment everything locked into place. Because Sarah never made it to the sleepover. No one knew that yet. Around midnight, her mom did what moms do, a quick check-in text, casual, not worried. Having fun? The message delivered instantly. Read. No reply. That part wasn't unusual. Sleepovers meant movies, snacks, inside jokes parents weren't allowed to understand. Her mom set the phone down again. But 3 minutes later, she picked it back up. Something about the earlier message felt off. Not wrong enough to panic. Just wrong enough to linger. She opened the conversation again. "I'm here." Her thumb hovered over the screen. Sarah usually didn't use the smiley with the nose. It was always the shorter one. It was small. Tiny. The kind of thing most people would never notice. But mothers have strange pattern recognition when it comes to their kids. She stared at the screen a few seconds longer than necessary, then locked the phone and told herself she was being ridiculous. At 12:47 a.m., the phone rang. It was the other mom. Her voice came through too bright at first, polite, careful. "Hey, quick question. Did Sarah end up staying home tonight?" There are moments in life where the world doesn't crash. It tilts. Just slightly. Sarah's mom laughed, a confused, automatic sound. "No, she's with you." Silence. Not long. But long enough. Sarah never came here. The house changed temperature. You would think panic comes first. It doesn't. First comes denial. They checked the texts again. The timestamps. The delivery receipts. Everything said she arrived. Everything said she was safe. Everything said something that was no longer possible. At 1:14 a.m., Sarah's dad stepped outside into the driveway. The night air was still. Too still. He stood exactly where the car had been earlier, staring at nothing, like the answer might still be parked there. That's when the first real glitch appeared. The neighbor's porch camera. It took police less than 2 hours to pull the footage. The video was grainy, washed in that pale gray night vision that makes everything feel slightly unreal. At 9:05 p.m., the car pulled into the driveway. At 9:06, Sarah stepped out, backpack over one shoulder, phone in hand. At 9:06 and 42 seconds, she paused. Not long, but long enough to notice. She leaned slightly toward the passenger window. Like someone inside the car had said something. At 9:07, she walked toward the house. But she never reached the door. Because at 9:07 and 31 seconds, she turned around. Walked back. Got back into the car. And the car pulled away. Inside the house, 10 feet from the front door, her father adjusted the volume on the television. He never heard the car leave. Police played that 42-second segment over and over. There was no visible struggle. No panic. No sudden movement. Just compliance. like Sarah believed she was still going somewhere safe. At 2:36 a.m., detectives re-examined the text. "I'm here, smiley face." They zoomed in on the metadata. The message had been sent from her phone, but not from the friend's neighborhood. It pinged off a tower nearly 6 miles away. Different direction entirely. By morning, the house no longer felt normal. It felt staged, like a set where something important had already happened and no one could rewind it. Her bedroom door sat half open. Inside, everything was painfully 16. String lights draped across the wall. A hoodie tossed over the desk chair. Makeup scattered in that casual chaos teenage girls somehow understand perfectly. On her bed sat one thing that made detectives pause. Her backup charger. Sarah never went anywhere overnight without it. Her mom would later say that was the first moment her stomach truly dropped. Because forgetting a charger wasn't like Sarah. And patterns matter. At 10:18 a.m., another detail surfaced. The rideshare account on Sarah's phone. There was no record of a driver. No scheduled pickup. No familiar name tied to the car. Which meant one thing investigators don't like. This ride had been arranged somewhere else. Somewhere quieter. Somewhere harder to trace. By the third day, the neighborhood started replaying their own memories, the way communities always do when something slips through the cracks. A neighbor remembered a car idling earlier that evening. Not unusual. Just longer than most. Another neighbor remembered seeing headlights, but couldn't recall the color. Memory is unreliable like that. It fills in blanks with whatever feels most comfortable. But the porch camera didn't forget. At exactly 9:06 and 12 seconds, just before Sarah stepped out, the brake lights flickered twice. Not the normal foot-on-brake glow. A signal. Investigators would later call it pre-exit communication, meaning Sarah and the driver had some kind of understanding before she even opened the door. Which raised the question no one in that house was ready to ask. Who did she think she was meeting? By the 7th day, the phone company delivered the final quiet blow. The "I'm here" smiley face message had been typed manually. Not copy-paste. Not autofill. Someone had taken the time to mimic her. Close enough to pass a glance. Not close enough to fool her mother. That detail settled into the family like cold fog. Because it meant Sarah didn't send that message. Someone wanted them to believe she did. And people don't usually fake arrival texts unless they need time. Time to move. Time to disappear. Time to make sure the house stays calm while the window closes. Weeks later, the driveway still looked the same. Same cracked concrete. Same faint oil stain near the curb. Same front door where the overnight bag had once waited patiently for a girl who never came home. Her dad would sometimes stand there at night. Not every night. Just the quiet ones. The ones where the neighborhood went still enough that memory got loud. He measured the distance again once. Front door to couch. 10 feet. 42 seconds. That was all it took. The house didn't look unsafe. The night didn't feel dangerous. The car didn't appear wrong. That's the part that stays with people. Not the disappearance itself. The normality of the moment before it. Because somewhere tonight, in a perfectly ordinary neighborhood, a car is probably idling just a little too long in someone's driveway. And inside the house, someone is only 10 feet away from the front door. Not looking out the window.